Welcome back. I would now like to introduce you to Hazel Owens. Hazel is the owner of Owens Counseling and Consulting Services, LLC, a private therapy and consulting practice integrating the worlds of faith, culture, and therapy. She serves clients throughout the state of Indiana full-time as a licensed marriage and family therapist. Hazel is also partnered with Coburn Place in leading our African American Quality of Life Initiative Community Talks. Welcome, Hazel.
Thank you for watching this video as we explore the critical topic of intergenerational trauma, systemic racism, and its profound impact on the mental health of Black individuals and communities. To begin, it is essential to understand what trauma and intergenerational trauma entail. Trauma is an emotional response to a distressing event or experience that is difficult to process or emotionally digest. It can stem from a single incident or an ongoing series of events. Intergenerational trauma occurs when the effects of trauma are passed down through the generations. This can manifest in various ways, including historical trauma, which affects cultural, racial, or ethnic groups, and collective trauma, impacting large groups or societies, such as the aftermath of 9/11 or the COVID-19 pandemic. For the Black community in particular, intergenerational trauma has its deep roots in chattel slavery. Before I can move forward, I must address the terms of racism and systemic racism. Racism, defined as race-based prejudice combined with power, significantly impacts Black mental health. Systemic or structural racism, with its historical, cultural, and institutional components, creates a framework where racism is normalized and perpetuated. Institutions like schools and the media reinforce these disparities, creating environments where Black individuals face discriminatory treatment and inequitable opportunities. Often, the mental health impacts of racism are masked as PTSD symptoms, as race-based trauma is not recognized in the DSM-5. This leads to a misdiagnosis and inadequate treatment. Black individuals also face healthcare disparities and environmental trauma, contributing to higher rates of depression, anxiety, chronic stress, and physiological illnesses such as diabetes and high blood pressure. Because of these disparities, Black people are more prone to identify bodily aches and pains that may be associated with chronic stress, anxiety, or depression, often resulting in a healthcare provider who is not culturally competent or responsive to miss this as a possible mental health symptom. Having too often throughout the generations be in survival mode and the role of systemic racism plays in environmental trauma, many in the Black community would not easily recognize the invisible wounds of mental illnesses. With that, intergenerational trauma is thus perpetuated through forms of internalized oppression and racism, where individuals may adopt negative beliefs about themselves and others within their community. Concepts like colorism or texturism and featureism highlight how physical attributes closer to whiteness are often deemed more acceptable or beautiful. Moving beyond physical attributes, internalized oppression can also manifest as respectability politics, the belief that certain behaviors make one more deserving of respect and dignity. Such internalized racism can lead to the use of derogatory terms within the community, accusing individuals of acting white for pursuing education or success. This reflects a harmful narrative of white supremacy, suggesting that certain levels of achievement are reserved for white individuals due to historical underrepresentation in these areas. And this brings us to Dr. Joy DeGruy's theory of post-traumatic slave syndrome, PTSS, which describes a condition resulting from multi-generational trauma linked to centuries of slavery and ongoing oppression and institutionalized racism. PTSS includes the belief, whether real or imagined, that societal benefits are inaccessible to Black individuals. Addressing intergenerational trauma requires clinical attention to the wounds and injuries passed down through families. It also demands systemic change to address the structures that continue to oppress and harm. If trauma can be inherited, so can healing. And this healing involves both individual therapy and broader societal shifts to dismantle systemic racism. And so in conclusion, understanding intergenerational trauma and its impact on Black mental health is crucial for fostering healing and equity. By acknowledging the deep roots of this trauma and addressing both individual and systemic factors, we can work towards a more just and healthy society. So let us commit to recognizing and dismantling the structures of racism that perpetuate harm and to supporting the mental health and well-being of Black individuals and communities. Thank you.